good, YouTube? It's Quinn Wade, basketball analysis, coming to y'all with another video. Check out my website, analysisplayground.com. Link will be in the description in the comment section below. Also, check out my Facebook page, analysisplayground.com. Link will be in the description in the comment section below. If you want a t-shirt, you can message me on Facebook. I got different type of logos and images. You can get any color shirt, or you can change the logo on the shirt. Just message me on Facebook if you're interested. What's good, YouTube? Quinn Wade. Basketball analysis coming to y'all with a quick video. Today we're going to talk about another player that moved around a lot the last couple of years and haven't been able to find a home or a family that wants to keep him long term. And he basically bounced from team to team the last couple of years trying to find a spot, a niche where he can grow and build and possibly be an integral part of the team. And he hasn't been able to do that. And as you can see by the title, is Trevor Booker, a guy that last year in the 17-18 season, he played for the Indiana Pacers for 17 games and started one. Then he got waived and went to Brooklyn, played 18. We got traded to Brooklyn, played 18 games, started 6. They waived him. And then he got picked up for the 76ers and was able to give you 33 games, no starts. It was a decent fit in Brooklyn. I thought that he'd be a good fit, obviously, in Indiana with guys that can really handle the ball and create shots. And even with Philly having the floor spacing with Marco Bellinelli and J.J. Redick and obviously other players last year, having a person that can create a shot like Ben Simmons that can create shots off the dribble or just, make everybody valuable. He can play small ball 5 sometimes. And he's not a traditional power forward, one that's slender and can move and athletic and shoot the 3. And just like we seen about Sam Decker, he got to the point where it doesn't look like Trevor Booker will be in the NBA. He's almost signing the deal with the Shanxi Braves Dragons, and that is not an NBA team. That's a Chinese team, and that means his NBA career might be coming to an end. I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. I just want to talk about it because this is a guy that was highly coveted around that buyout time. A lot of teams wanted to pick him up. A lot of teams wanted to see what he can do, what can he bring to the table, and at the end of the day, we ended up seeing him bounce from 3 teams, and he could never really find a home there. And now he got to the point where he's not even going to make an NBA roster at this point right now, and that's not even thinking into the future because he still can technically sign a contract by the time the trade deadline is again and probably jump on a playoff team or at least be a pickup at the midway point of the season and try to get back on a playoff roster like he was with the Sixers and try to be a good role player on that team, probably the 8th or 9th man, sometimes probably even the 7th, depending on the depth and depending on what injuries might occur. He can be a guy that can get picked up and be back in the league by the time the season ends, because when the Chinese season ends, they'll be around that same time, which will allow him to try to make an NBA roster. I think him being so highly coveted made him feel good that teams wanted to try him, teams wanted to utilize him, and they kept him in the league for another year. But it is also humbling because at the end of the day, now he doesn't even have a team that he can go to, and now he has to be forced to go overseas to try to play for a roster spot for the NBA, where he was guaranteed one basically everywhere he went last year, and he was able to finish out the season with the Sixers. He didn't have the most minutes, he didn't have the most dominant numbers, but he was at least a professional about it. He went there, played his role, did what they asked him to do, played his game, and you would think that that would be enough considering how well he played in Indiana before going to Philly. Indiana, but Brooklyn before he went to Philly. He averaged 10 points in Brooklyn. In 18 games, he averaged 10 points on 51% from the field. He also gave you 6.6 rebounds and 2.1 assists. And in Philly, he only gave you 4.7 points because he only got 15 minutes a game. He did shoot 56% from the field and 82 from the free throw line, but he didn't shoot that many free throws. He didn't shoot that many threes. And he still gave you 3.7 rebounds, and that's quality minutes from a guy that's a veteran at this point. He's 30 years old. When the season starts, he'll be closer to 31. He'll be 31 in November, which will basically mean at the end of the day, He's on his way of getting into the NBA range where the NBA is a young man's league. Everybody wants the guy that can jump the fastest, has the most potential, and has the potential to be a future prospect. We starting to see veterans die a little bit more. They're not hanging around as long because people are trying to get the new guy out of the G League. People are trying to get the players out of the summer league, and obviously the NBA draft. So the NBA always been a young man game, but teams are getting younger and younger. You don't really see as many veterans on teams. You see a lot of young prospects from 27 to 28, not really 35, 36. You still see some in the NBA, but now you see the roster is getting significantly younger, and it's mostly because of the G League being able to try out talent, being able to call up and get younger talent that can either be on your roster or sign in a non-guaranteed contract or even a two-way contract when it's partially guaranteed, and that gives teams the flexibility of I can keep him or I can try him out or I can see if he a fit or I can let him play in the G League, and if I don't like how he's playing in the G League, I can just let him go. It gave teams more flexibility and more power because now they don't have to give out guaranteed contracts or a guaranteed roster spot to a player that they want to try out or use, which gives them more security. If they don't like the guy, they can just let him go for basically nothing because the contract is non-guaranteed, or they can try the player out and see how he will work or see how he'll play in the G League or even in the NBA in short amount of minutes. And if you like him, you can keep him for basically for about $1 million or less. And then if you don't like him no more, you need the roster spot, you can waive him. So it's giving teams more flexibility. Obviously, if I'm a guy like Trevor Booker, I obviously want that year guaranteed contract, at least even if it's 2.1 million or 1 million for this year. I want that guaranteed year to be on that team for that whole roster spot. But the contracts ain't like that no more. They want you to sign that two-way contract. They want you to sign that one-year deal, giving them flexibility for the next summer. So the NBA is all about keeping as much salary cap room as you can to land big stars, because big stars want to play with other big stars, and then you figure out the rest after you get the stars. And the teams he played for, Indiana and obviously Brooklyn, wasn't playoff contenders. So, going there and having the opportunity to play for Philly, a team that won 50 something games, and he was a part of that. Even going into the playoffs, they got out of the first round, but they're even a younger team also. So going there and being a professional, taking your role, knowing that you're not going to get that many minutes, you're not going to really get that much playing time, could have hurt him too, because teams couldn't really see how he played and see how he was going to be utilized, because at the end of the day, they didn't really need him to do that much, and they didn't really rely on him. And he had that eighth or ninth, like I said, man, position where at the end of the day, there's not much he can do in those type of minutes. So all he can do is go out there, play his game, give as much effort and energy. But one thing he's going to have to do, and it might sound a little recycled, but it's true, he's going to have to learn how to expand his game, or he's not going to be able to make it in the NBA. Yes, he can rebound. Yes, he's a mobile forward, but he's not a super athletic forward. He doesn't have the handles. He doesn't have the three-point shot. He's never really been a great free throw shooter in his whole career. And the NBA is all about adding size and lengths and guys that can play multiple positions, can switch multiple times. Yes, he can play the 4 or the 5, but he's not a rim protector. He's not a floor spacer. He's not the best ball mover. He's just a pick and dive guy, and a guy that can play with a lot of effort, energy, and hustle that can give you rebounds and give you finishes around the rim, but it doesn't, have that pace and space. It doesn't have that ball movement. It doesn't have that three-point shooting. It doesn't have that handle ability that adds that other ball handler. People want the Draymond Greens. They want, players like Wendell Carter and Jaren Jackson, those athletic mobile forwards that got the size, but they can shoot, but they also can, set screens and do handoffs. Those players that can do multiple things. Now, of course, Trevor Booker can set screens and he can do handoffs, but he doesn't add anything besides rolling to the rim. He can't really knock down a 15-foot jumper. He can't really shoot a three. He can't really do much besides set the screen and roll to the basket and get rebounds and putbacks. And that is a quality skill. Probably 3-4 seasons ago, somebody would love to have you on your roster when you can bring that type of game that Trevor Booker does. But as the years went on, he hasn't really evolved. He hasn't really added enough to his game to solidify him as a guy that people really need. And that really hurted him, these last 2 years when his contract was basically up and teams were basically taking flyers. Let me try him out. Let me see how he is. And now he's at the point where he has to go to to China and try to prove that he's still an NBA player. He still can play a significant role on a good team and put up some decent numbers. And if he's able to do that, he might be on the NBA roster, like I said, with a playoff team or a team that had injuries, and that will help him get back into the NBA for at least a couple more months and for the rest of the season. But if he doesn't do that and he shows that he's the same Trevor Booker, he hasn't really added that much to his game, he hasn't really sharpened all his skills, he's going to be back on the same part where it's either teams are going to give you that two-way contract or they're going to try to waive you about time if they don't like you. And even if he does come back in the trade deadline area, he's probably just going to get a contract for the rest of that season. He's going to be in the same boat where he might not get that many offers, or he might not get a long-term commitment, or he's going to get that one-year deal where he can get waived or be on that two-way contract where they can give you partially non-guaranteed. Now, some people take it because they still want the opportunity to play in the NBA. They still want that opportunity to be on the NBA roster, so they don't really care about the long term, or they don't really care about the guaranteed contract, because they just want to be on the NBA roster playing in the NBA. And we don't see a lot of young players fall into that in the summer league and being undrafted. They just take any contract that they can get so they can get on the NBA roster. Now, Trevor Booker, he knows the game and he's been in the league long enough to know what deal he wants and what he can do and what he really deserves. And if he can't get that offer or he can't get that contract, then he can always go overseas and get, a couple million just going over there playing his best brand of basketball, but he will no longer be in the NBA. So we'll see if he evolves. He's 30 years old, going to be 31 by the time the trade deadline comes, and we'll see if a team give him that contract for the rest of the season, or is he probably just going to take off for the rest of the season and maybe not even play in this year in the NBA. So we don't really know. Check out my website, analysisplayground.com. Link will be in the description, comment section below. Check out my Facebook page, analysisplayground.com. Link will be in the description in the comment section below. Obviously, in the intro, if you want a t-shirt, my t-shirts is on my website and on my Facebook page, analysisplayground.com. Obviously, they not expensive. If you want one, just check out my Facebook page. I got pictures of how they look and how they are. If you like one, just message me on Facebook and I can get one shipped out. Thanks for the support. Liking on Facebook, buying the t-shirts, and being active in the comment section. I appreciate it. Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis. Let me know what you guys think about Trevor Booker signing potentially with a Chinese team and not being on the NBA roster in the start of the season. Let me know what you guys think.